Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Trend Report. Glad you're joining me today. And I have a first-time guest on the show, and we're going to talk about something that hopefully all of you are really passionate about. And I'm excited to welcome Byron Morton with the Merchandise Mart and NeoCon to the show today. Hey, Byron, how are you?
I'm well, Sid. Thanks for having me on today.
So, Byron, I kind of set it up that who you are and what you do, but tell us exactly what it is that you do at the Mart and the role you play at NeoCon.
So I'm Byron Morton, obviously. I'm vice president and co-head of leasing for the Mart in Chicago. I oversee all of our showroom business, our kitchen and bath on the first floor, residential fine furnishings on the 6th and 14th floors, and of course our contract furnishing floors on 3, 10, and 11, as well as sales of the 7th floor exhibit hall for NeoCon.
Wow.
Yeah,
You're a little busy.
a little bit.
A little bit busy. Now, Byron, how long have you been at the Mart?
Been at the Mart since 2004. So I've been here for 19 years, and I started out working specifically on the contract furniture showrooms, and my responsibilities grew from there.
Now, were you in the business before joining the Mart? Or I mean, the contract furniture side of the business? Or are you in real estate? What was your path before you got to the Mart?
I grew up primarily in wireless and data networking. And actually, I ended up at the Mart because the Mart was a customer. And we worked together for, I'd say, about 18 months. And after a lot of great things happened, as well as navigating through a few problems, they gave me a call and asked me to come talk to them about working with them. And
that's great.
Yeah, it was really fun. Frankly, at that time, I didn't know how to spell real estate or furniture, but I think I've learned it over time.
That's great. So the Mart is good. I remember, let me start this over. I remember my first NeoCon, and I remember walking, and this was 1991, maybe. I don't remember the exact year, but I remember walking into the Mart, and there were all these shops on the lower level. There was a tie shop there. And I mean, I had not been out of college for very long, and walking in, it was my first time in the furniture business, my first time at NeoCon, and I'm walking in, and there's a tie shop. I'll never will forget this. I don't remember which entrance it was. And like, they're standing out in front of the shop. I have on a tie because you dressed up for NeoCon. That's what you did back in the day, right? And this guy's like pulling me into the shop, trying to take my tie off and give me a new tie. And I say all that just to set up that the Mart has really gone through an evolution over the years, from the early 1990s now to 2023. So tell us a little bit about what we can expect to see at the Mart this year, because you guys have made a huge investment in changes at the Mart.
Oh, we really have. I mean, in back up to 2017, we introduced the Grand Stair and Marshall's Landing, and those really set the bar for amenities in a multi-purpose building at the time. And frankly, both of those have done exactly what we wanted them to do.
Which was
to provide kind of a center of gravity for the tenants of the building. And, the restaurant has been a tremendous success, as has the lounge area and the stairs. It's provided that third space. And, what we wanted to do to kind of move that forward was to go to the next step. And what you'll be seeing at NeoCon in June is the unveiling of our work-life amenities. Those will consist of a 21,000 square foot conference center on the 2nd floor that will be open to our tenants only. And we will use that exclusively for NeoCon during the show, though. The conference center features fantastic meeting rooms for groups of one, all the way up to a multi-purpose room that will serve up to about 300. Wow. Our NeoCon keynotes and our NeoCon special presentations will actually be held in that room. It'll be debuting at the show. So,
nice.
Really excited about that. The rest of that too is that directly adjacent to that on the 2nd floor, we'll have a 23,000 square foot fitness center. And, our goal with that is really to provide a completely elevated experience that's open to our tenants only. And it's just going to be unreal. It's going to feel like an Equinox for much less money.
Wow.
And then we're doing a tenant lounge right behind Marshall's Landing called the Founders Room. And the Founders Room is kind of a meet first, eat second kind of a place where you can really go and have a quiet conversation, with an important customer or employee. And then, of course, the River Drive Park. We've completely renovated the River Drive Park. We've widened the sidewalks about 100 feet on either side of the front entrance, created this really great little kind of a streetscape, more of a streetscape kind of a feeling, and this beautiful turf front yard right in the center of the building. So I think people are going to be blown away by our amenity package. Probably the most fun thing about working at the Mart is that whatever we do, we can go so far beyond just checking the box.
Sure.
And these amenities are just going to be unreal. So we're really excited to show those off to the industry.
Well, I've seen bits and pieces of it kind of popping into the Mart during the last couple of months, but I'm excited to see the completed version. The last time I was there, it all wasn't completed. But let's talk about the drive for a second. So that's the drive along the river, and it's turned into basically a park now. Is that temporary just for NeoCon, or is that permanent?
No, that is a permanent amenity for the building.
Wow. So does that mean like the cab, that's usually where the cab pickup and drop off is? Has that been moved now?
No, cabs are there. It's still a
Okay.
three-way.
Got it.
We've just reconfigured it a little bit so it feels a little more like a streetscape than a throughway.
Okay, got it.
So cab pickup and drop off will be in the front of the building during normal times. However, during NeoCon, we use the entire drive for what we call the NeoCon Plaza.
Got it.
So the entire drive will be activated for the show Monday through Wednesday.
Okay, so it'll be blocked off, no cabs going there. So where is the cab pickup and drop off? This is an important question for attendees of NeoCon, is where are the cabs when you get ready to leave the building?
Drop off will still happen on either end of the building, and then pick up on the south side, and then pickup will be on the north side.
Okay, great. Okay. So a few changes there. I'm excited to see what the park looks like. Hopefully the weather will be really nice for us at NeoCon this year. But so Byron, you've also had, congratulations, by the way, to all of you at the Mart in the expansion and the changes that you've been working on and the things you're doing to make the Mart a better experience, not just for those of us in the furniture business, but also the rest of the tenants that are there in the building, whether it's kitchen and bath or your commercial tenants, right? So I think it's a great step forward. Are we getting any new restaurants around on the second floor at all?
The most recent is Fat Shallot, which started as a food truck here in Chicago.
Oh,
And really popular, really great, very large, very tasty sandwiches.
okay.
They have a couple of different other, they have a few different versions or flavors of French fries. It's really, really a fun addition.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, so good stuff happening there.
Fat Shallot. Did I hear that right?
Got it.
Okay. FAT, or is it spelled differently?
It's FAT.
Okay. I just want to make sure sometimes they could spell it with a P or something.
And, if you're here every day and you eat there every day, you might just end up that way.
Yeah, that's for NeoCon, I think it'll be okay. But every day, I couldn't do that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So new amenities, new food. And so let's talk a little bit about the Mart itself as it relates to tenants. So we've got the furniture floors that are 3, 10, and 11, and a temporary floor of 7 during the show. And you guys have made a concentrated effort to bring commercial companies into the Mart, like Motorola and others. So what was actually the catalyst that said, hey, let's bring commercial companies into what had been, at least in my past, more of a showroom type space?
Well, the building's always been a multi-use building, even, from the very beginning. Actually, kind of a fun fact, during World War II, the Mart was kind of used as the Midwestern outpost for the Pentagon.
Oh,
yeah. And it's ebbed and flowed in terms of the ratio between showroom and office, throughout its entire history.
mm-hmm.
We started looking at one of our showroom industries, the gift industry, back in 2010, 2011, and it just wasn't performing the way that we wanted to. And at that time, there were a lot of it was just the beginning of the trend of companies moving corporate campuses from the suburbs into the city.
Mm-hmm.
And, the Mart's floor plate was such that it allowed those kinds of companies to, really create that same kind of campus feel all on one floor. Right. Or several floors, but less
Sure.
than it would take to do in a traditional high-rise building. So that really kind of started a shift to the Mart as, really the center of tech in Chicago. 1871, which is the incubator, opened up about that time. Of course, Motorola Mobility opened up their headquarters, the 16th through the 20th floors of the building. And that was a huge lease, and they are still there. At the time, they were owned by Google. And of course, everybody in the industry then started to think that Google would buy the building, which couldn't have been farther from the truth. And they don't even own Motorola anymore. So again, I hear that rumor still today, and like to dispel that for every chance that I get. But just because our ratio of office tenants has grown doesn't mean that we are not fully committed to the showroom industry and to the trade shows that we produce for those.
Okay. So how many trade shows? I know NeoCon, but how many trade shows do you guys put on throughout the year?
Well, we produce NeoCon, obviously, which is our biggest. We do 2 shows called One of a Kind, which are consumer shows. One in the holiday shopping season. It's kind of a craft and makers type of show, and then one in the spring. And then we also produce about 8 apparel shows, which are very successful and very important within the apparel industry. And, those are buying shows where retailers come and buy their product for the next season, which is kind of fun.
So basically 11 shows throughout the course of the year. You do the math, that's like 1 a month. So that's a lot of shows, right? People coming into the Mart. So let's talk about people coming into the Mart. So in the past, there have been a bit of an exodus of brands, specifically in the furniture industry, leaving their permanent showrooms in the merchandise Mart, either for other locations or just leaving in general. What do you think was the catalyst for brands to start making decisions to actually leave the Mart? Because the reason I ask this question is I see the merchandise Mart as the hub of our industry. It is the central location, an iconic building where our industry has been for 40 years or 40 plus years. So I'm just curious as your thoughts of somebody that works at the Mart, what do you think was the catalyst for people to start leaving the Mart?
Well, so, just to build on what you'd said in the lead up to this, NeoCon has been at the Mart since 1969. So this is what would that make us? The 53rd show in the 54th year.
Wow.
We don't like to talk about that year of 2020, but, I think that the catalyst for the few companies that have left the building really started with their business model and the way they wanted to go to market. Everybody knows Knoll was the first to leave, right? And Knoll really, had a different vision for the way they wanted to go to market. And some of that included retail. Now, the space they took didn't make sense with that, but that's not my problem. Miller was next. And I think Miller clearly is, looking to completely, evolve their business to be more of a lifestyle brand. So what they've done makes sense. And, both of those obviously hurt. And we made very quick recoveries from both of those. We leased up, both of those spaces with great brands immediately. So there was really no lapse in space. And, the others, I think, given the distribution models of this industry, I think that, some companies felt that they would benefit by drafting off of those larger brands that have moved over there. And frankly, I've started to hear that there's a number of people that are starting to question their decision. And, we've seen, a tremendous shift in the last 18 months of companies that were looking very seriously, smaller companies that were looking very seriously at moving into Fulton Market. And they've all come here.
Come to the Mart, yeah.
Yeah, and our leasing activity really kind of shows that and proves it out, which is great.
Well, as a brand being ThinkSpace, as a brand that recently leased a space in the Mart on the 10th floor, about 2,000 square feet. I'm really excited to see the list of the other brands that have also come into the Mart that haven't had a space before, or maybe moving to a different location, like our friends at Scandinavian Spaces that moved down to the 3rd floor to a bigger location. I'm excited to see that movement. So when you think about NeoCon, how many vendors are on the list that will be showing this year at the show?
So about 400 total exhibitors.
Wow.
Between the 7th floor and 310 11, and then our residential showrooms also participate to some extent as well. So a total of about 400 brands within contract. You're looking at about 300.
So 300 office furniture brands will be presenting at NeoCon in the Merchandise Mart between 3, 10, and 11 and the 7th floor. That's
correct.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
How does that compare to the previous year, Byron?
About the same.
Okay.
About the same. We've grown the 7th floor a little bit this year from 22 to 23, and we'll continue to do that.
So I want to ask you a couple of questions about the 7th floor because, but before we do that, let me go back just a second and say we're shifting gears now. We're going to talk about NeoCon for a second because we started talking about the Mart and then we just led right into NeoCon. But so the Merchandise Mart hosts NeoCon every year for our industry. This year it is June the 12th through the 14th. Though I'm coming in on the Thursday before. A lot of brands and manufacturer reps come in on the Friday or the Saturday. So I'll be there for a whole week, actually, which I'm not sad about because I love Chicago. But Byron, when you think about NeoCon 2023, what are you most excited about for this year?
I'm excited about a number of things. First, debuting our amenities that we talked about to the industry. I'm also very excited that I think 2023 is going to be our first year truly back. We track registration and how it paces, leading up to the show every year. And, we're about 4 weeks out right now. We've probably got about, 50% of the registration in. We're pacing about 95% of 2019 numbers.
Wow.
And that's not guaranteed because NeoCon's a free show to register for. But I think even more important is the hotel room block is pacing about 25% ahead of last year, which kind of points to that same 2019 level of traffic. So that's exciting. And, we're seeing the names of companies and firms that are attending are just so impressive. In addition to all the top A&D firms around the country, our end user and corporate attendance is way up. And, we're seeing registration from all sectors, from entertainment and transportation and hospitality and, durable goods manufacturing to tech and a lot of government as well. So
that's great.
We feel like we're going to have a really great show.
Well, congratulations on those numbers. And I also think it's interesting. I mean, not everybody goes through the Mart to book their hotel room. So you're pacing, at a really great rate there. But imagine those that did not go through the Mart's link to actually book their hotel room. If you could figure out how to add the two together, it'd be really great to understand those numbers. But I mean, I always have enjoyed going. I do not know how many years I've been going straight in a row. I did not keep track of that the way some people wear it as a badge of honor, right? I didn't keep track of it that way. But I always look forward to it for lots of different reasons. First and foremost, for me, it's about the people and seeing the people that I didn't get to see. Maybe I haven't seen them since last year, or maybe it's been a couple of years. Secondly, I really enjoy seeing new products and seeing cool new things, new technologies, new products, new trends. So I'm really looking forward to it, though. I won't get to walk around very much because we'll be manning our space on 10, but hopefully on Wednesday, I'll get to go hang out a little bit and walk around and see what's going on. But let's go to 7 for a second. A few years ago for the Business of Furniture magazine, I wrote a column shortly after NeoCon called 7th Heaven. And I truly believe that 7 is the most overlooked floor of the entire NeoCon event because there are so many amazing brands and really cool products that reside down on 7 that I just think people should make 7 a destination just like they make 3 or 10 or 11 a destination. So what are your thoughts about I want to ask you how you changed Seven, because I know you reorganized it a little bit, maybe into zones. Can you talk about Seven for us a minute?
Absolutely. So, one of my favorite designers in the industry, Pam Light, who's retired, used to say she always goes to Seven for inspiration and to find the new things,
Mhm.
right? And I think that is still very true of a number of the more savvy uh, attendees that
Mhm.
come to the show. We have made some changes to Seven though to try to make it even better. One of those things is we've kind of organized it. Companies like to be around like companies, right? At
Mhm.
these events. So we've organized the show, the seventh floor, a little more around product category or product segment. So there's a really strong building products area. And, of course, we have a furnitures and fixtures area, and there's a textiles area, technology area, and then a modern and contemporary area as well. So we're really trying to organize that floor so that the attendees um, experience there is efficient
Mhm.
and enjoyable. We're also trying to up the aesthetics of it a little bit.
Mhm.
We'll be doing a Talks on Seven area where there'll be, rotating just kind of 20-minute TED style talks throughout the show. And it's going to be in kind of an elevated presentation area. And we'll have Beatrix Coffee Roasters providing high-end coffee and snacks and foods. So, really just trying to keep Seven as great as possible and make it even better.
So what I appreciate about that is, I mean, I've exhibited on Seven before. I've had clients that exhibited on Seven before, and I've been an attendee just going to Seven, right? And I really like the idea how you've coordinated the like type products together. So if I want to go and see technology, then I can go to the technology area and see all the different technologies, whatever that it might be. And then I can go to the, I think you said, contemporary modern furniture area. I can go see that. Or if I'm looking for something specific as it relates to uh, parts and components, I can go to that area. So it's almost like I can check it off my list and say, okay, I was at Seven, I saw this, and now I'm very specific about where I went. Now I don't have to go back and wonder again, because Seven can get confusing
Yes.
because it's both sides. So I do like the fact that you organized it in a way that I think will help people understand where they're at and and to go find what they're looking for. That's awesome.
We think it's the right approach.
Good. So when you think about NeoCon and how NeoCon is continuing to evolve and grow, what do you think is important for people that are here, that are listening to us today, that are going to the show? Because this will air before the show starts. What do you think it's important for them to remember about NeoCon or to know about NeoCon 2023?
The most important thing that attendees should remember as they come to NeoCon 2023 is they're going to be walking into, first of all, a building with some incredible new amenities, and that you have to be here to see the newest products and ideas and innovations.
Mhm.
Um, the NeoCon really is the product launch platform for the contract furniture industry. And we have the largest concentration of manufacturers here in this building, really, in my opinion, with the best and most innovative products.
That's awesome. And I love the way that you frame that, the product launch platform for our industry. And I agree with you. I mean, I know companies always launch products during the show. And then I know ThinkSpace, we're launching 7 products at the show, right? And that's just one small little company. I can only imagine. Have you ever done a count, Byron, like how many products are launched at NeoCon? Have you ever counted that?
I think it's impossible to count them. One of our best metrics, though, is the Best of NeoCon
Sure.
awards, and how many entries are in Best of NeoCon, and that's always somewhere between 300 and 400 entries
Wow.
every year.
That's
Um,
great.
and I think there's probably exponentially more
Hmm. Sure.
new products launched every year. So
So as we start to wrap up a little bit today, as you think about the future of the Merchandise Mart and the future of NeoCon, um, what's next as it relates to the Mart, additional brands coming in? I mean, tell us, give a little glimpse into the future about what's next for the Mart and for NeoCon.
I think that we are really looking to improve and extend and expand the experience, right? Our amenities are going to go a long way to improve that experience. The layout, design, and elevated elements of the 7th floor, I think, are really going to go a long way to improve the experience, and we're going to continue to do that. And we also, as a sales and leasing team, really need to consider new product categories that are emerging, right? And it's 4 years ago, 5 years ago, acoustics was all the rage, and then 2 years after that, privacy pods became all the rage, and we've seen a tremendous growth in glass boards and collaborative tools. Mm-hmm. And we are constantly on the lookout for that next wave. And I think that as remote work becomes hybrid work, thank God, there's going to be a lot of new product segments and mm-hmm. categories that emerge that may or may not have anything to do with furniture, but have a lot to do with the workplace or hospitality or healthcare built environments. And, we are always on the lookout for that, and to not only follow it, but more importantly, stay ahead of it.
Sure. I totally agree with you. And I love the fact that you're on the leading edge, if you will, of helping to identify what some of those product categories are, because I do believe that we're in the middle of an evolution, and there will be a product or a technology or something that somebody shows this year that's going to be a game stopper, that's going to say, wait a minute, is this creating a new category the way the other ones that you described are being created? And I just find it really interesting as I'm out talking to clients and to end users and to dealers and to reps. And I actually had a casual conversation at a crawfish boil this past weekend with somebody about return to work or return to the office. And admittedly, I am somewhat shocked at the number of companies that have not brought any employees back to the workplace. Maybe they've only brought back 30% of them. And it's fascinating to me to listen to their ideas about what it is they need to do to get people back into the workplace. And as an industry, that's what we need. We need people back into the workplace, and we need people adjusting and changing their workplace for this new hybrid, whatever hybrid looks like to you, meaning the company. We need that to happen. And I do believe there will be new product categories potentially emerge out of this as we listen to our customers about what their needs are.
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, you think about 2017 through 19, and I used to always joke that, it felt like we were creating Disney World for people to come into work and to motivate them to do that. And you fast forward to today, and, amenities in the buildings are so important, and companies are really shifting their focus to their landlords to try to provide those. And the other thing too, just beyond amenities and cool things to do while you're at work in the office, is I think that we're going to see driving a lot of product development moving forward, is inclusion. And I don't mean inclusion in a DEI sort of way, although that's obviously incredibly important, but inclusion of the hybrid worker who should be able to participate in a meeting exactly the same way as the 12 people sitting around the conference table, or wherever that meeting may be happening. And I think that's going to be a huge growth segment for this industry.
Yeah, got to have the same experience, right? Just because they're a hybrid worker doesn't mean that they shouldn't have the same experience in a meeting or a company town hall or whatever it is that the person in the office actually has. Right. So,
I mean, hybrid is here to stay, I think.
Agreed.
4-day work week is probably the 4 days in the office is going to become the norm. We've been doing that since July of 21, by the way.
Oh, the Mart has?
Yeah.
What is it? Mondays or Fridays?
We work from home on Fridays.
Okay.
But I think that there is still no substitute for in person. Agreed. There's no way to build culture. There's no way to onboard people. The creative, accidents that happen, or collisions, as a lot of the design world likes to say, you can't substitute that. And
100%.
I'm obviously an evangelist for getting people back into the office as many days a week as possible.
I think everybody in our industry is right there with you, evangelizing that very topic. So Byron, I just want to thank you for coming in and sharing your thoughts, giving us an update about the Mart, talking about NeoCon. I know I'm excited. Hopefully a lot of our listeners are excited. And I would love to hear from all of you. If you're going to NeoCon, drop us a note, let us know you're going to NeoCon. And Byron, if our community would like to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
LinkedIn is at Byron Morton, and
Perfect.
my email is bmorton@themart.com.
We will be sure to drop all of that in the show notes, so that you can reach out to Byron, as well as a link to register for NeoCon. If you haven't already, you're thinking about going, go check out is it the neocon.com, Byron? Is that the website?
That is it.
Neocon.com. We will drop that in the show notes as well. So, Byron, thanks again for joining us today. I look forward to seeing you again in a couple of weeks. And thanks everybody for being here. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take care, everyone.